posted by user School Play Throwaway, titled, "Am I the asshole for not sharing my daughter's school play video with my father after he slept through it? My 35 female, father 68 male, moved to a different country 8 years ago. He tries to visit whenever he can, and I try to help him have as much of a relationship with my children, 9 male, 5 female, and baby girl, as possible. Whenever he visits, however, he tends to act a bit entitled. He either sleeps or hangs out with his old friends in the mornings and afternoons, doesn't help me with anything that I ask him to, and then gets annoyed when he wants to do something at 9 p.m. and the kids are too tired. His excuses are always that he's exhausted from traveling and deserves to get some rest and spend time with friends that he never gets to see anymore. My kids are always excited when my dad visits, but at this point, they see him more when he's FaceTiming us from a different hemisphere than when he's staying in our guest room. Anyway, he's visiting us now to meet my youngest daughter, who was born in September. He got here 2 weeks ago and will fly back home in a few days. I've been trying to get him to spend more time with my kids this time around, but he still goes out a lot. My older daughter had her first ever school play on Saturday. She was really excited about it and invited my father. He promised her he would come. The day before the play, my father went out with his friends and didn't come back until 3 a.m. The play started at 11 a.m. and we had to get there 30 minutes earlier. In total, he must have gotten about 6 hours of sleep. When we, my dad, my husband, my son, and I got there, we sat at one of the first rows. My daughter had asked us to. The play was 40 minutes long. My father fell asleep less than 15 minutes in. I woke him up, and he slept again. He snores loudly when he sleeps, so I kept waking him up whenever he slept. Near the end of the play, I was too late to wake him, and he let out a snore that was so loud that some of the kids on the stage looked over at us. At that, I hit his arm a little harder, and he didn't fall back asleep. My husband and I haven't mentioned anything to my daughter, but it's obvious that she noticed. She was heartbroken after the play and dismissed any of our attempts to talk about it. My husband filmed the play for my mum and stepdad, who were with our baby during it. Instantly after the play, my dad asked if he could have the video too, since he didn't watch most of it. We are not sharing it with him. I told him that he had the opportunity to watch it live, and instead ruined the experience for all of us, especially my daughter. He doesn't deserve to watch what he missed, just because he decided to stay out late the night before. My dad is pissed. He's telling me and my husband that we're robbing him of his role in my daughter's life. He also maintains the excuse that he was exhausted during the play and needed to get some rest. I really don't think that we're the assholes, but with how tense things have been getting, it might be easier to just let him watch the video. I'm just going to go with not the asshole for this one, and yeah, it might be easier to just let him watch the video, but I don't think he'll learn his lesson if you do that. I feel like this could be a cornerstone moment for you and him, where you show him by not giving him the video and clapping him down a bit more that he needs to put more effort in to be present for your daughter and actually show up for the rest of the kids. He's a giant asshole for prioritizing time with his friends out of the house over your kids, when he said he wants to come over and spend time with your kids, and then always does the opposite. So no, not the asshole, and I don't think you would be the asshole for continuing to withhold the video. In the comments, why do you let him stay with you? OP says, he stays with my younger sister sometimes, but her place is much smaller than ours. The rest of my paternal family lives mostly in a different state. It's usually more convenient for him to stay at my apartment. On Grandma, OP says, my mom is especially upset about this. She wanted to come to the play, but volunteered to watch my baby so that my dad could go. He's probably just embarrassed that he looked bad and wants to seem like he cares now. And OP says, yeah, that thought definitely crossed my mind. I'm pretty sure he was embarrassed about the snoring, and it would make sense for him to want the video because of that. For clarification, a commenter says, you need to determine with your dad if he's in town to help with whatever you ask him to, or to visit friends and relax, plus see you and the kids. There is a difference in intent. And OP says, by help me with anything I ask him to, I meant minuscule tasks. Handing over the remote control is too much of an effort sometimes. The most I've asked him to do was pick up takeout that we'd ordered. He was 10 steps away from the door, and I was changing a diaper and wash his plate after dinner. We have a wash what you use rule. Not the arsehole. Rip Van Winkle can get over himself. He's either a grandparent or he isn't. He doesn't get to party with the boys until 3 a.m. and then expect to be catered to. Not to mention that showing him the video would probably only enable him. He'll 100% keep treating his family like this if he knows they'll have a camera ready for him. Not the asshole. Update. To those who commented on my post, thank you. My father's leaving tomorrow, so I thought I'd give a small update. These past few days, things have been awkward. Mostly because my husband and I were mad at my father, who was mad at us back. A few hours after I wrote my post, my father decided to prove me wrong about my daughter being upset. He sat next to her and tried to get her to talk about the play. He was asking her questions about it, many of which he would know the answer to if he'd stayed awake during it. I'm guessing my daughter understood that because it only made things worse. She refused to answer his questions and at one point ran to me crying. I'm not sure if that was my dad's wake-up call or if it was his daughter refusing to talk to him, as she usually idolizes him. But whatever it was, he apologized to my daughter. Grandpa was really tired, but he loves you very much. She said she forgave him, but was still upset, so he came to me Tuesday night to ask what he could do to fix things before he went home. I helped him brainstorm some ideas. Yesterday, my father surprised the kids with a trip to the aquarium. My daughter had been asking us to go there for a while, but with a newborn at home, we hadn't found the time yet. The kids had a lot of fun there, and my dad let them each get a plushie from the gift shop. Afterwards, we went to McDonald's and took the kids to see Santa at the mall. Overall, my kids had a great day with their grandfather, and my daughter is feeling a lot better. That said, the aquarium, non-fancy food, and old guy in a fake beard are definitely part of my father's idea of hell. So I'm sure I'll hear him complain about all the sacrifices he made for his grandkids for a while. But as long as my kids think he had fun, I'm fine with that. I do think he understands that he screwed up though. He's no longer asking us for the video, and has promised he'll never show such disregard for things my kids care about again. As some of you suggested, I told him that he'll have to stay with my sister or one of his friends next time he visits. I think he knows the "you're keeping me away from my grandkids" excuse won't work on me, because he hasn't complained about that yet. If he tries to pick a fight over it once he's home, I'll hang up on him. Thanks everyone. In the comments, St. Alvis says, "What's he got against aquariums?" OP says, "He thinks they're boring. Same goes for zoos." Lord, I just sat through a 10-minute explanation of a video game that I don't care about to make my kid happy. There are worse things than being bored. OP says, "As someone who watches Paw Patrol every night, I agree. I don't think my father understands that he's not the one who needs to enjoy these things. I get it. My dad was the same way. Some of it's generational, I guess. My friends are just prepping their house for a baby and started painting the banister bright colors. One of their parents said that it looked untidy, and you didn't have to do things like that because, whilst it is the child's house, it's your home. A completely incomprehensible divide." OK Map says, "It's a good start. I'm still not convinced that he'll be prioritizing his grandkids from now on. Out of sight, out of mind. He'll forget all about his embarrassment once he's back home. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's made an effort, but let's see what happens next visit. I think you're right to not let him stay with you anymore. If he wants to see you, the onus to make time for that needs to be on him." OP says, "Oh, I'm not convinced either. That's why he's not staying with us next time. I don't want my kids to get used to him behaving like this. My sister has a daughter, so I hope he stays with one of his friends instead of her." Would be curious to know what Dad was like to OP when she was a child. Usually that would give some sort of a hint as to what kind of grandfather he will be or is being. You'd be surprised. A lot of people, my own grandfather included, do a complete 180 for their grandkids. I assume it's because you get all of the bonding and none of the parenting. Raises hand. Well into adulthood, I learned that I had a doting paternal grandfather, but my dad? Well, we don't talk about that. hence why I was an adult before my mum let something slip. Had I known, I would have protested ever visiting my grandpa. Our next post is by user Hans Wormhat, titled, Teacher has a naughty and nice list. So my son came home today and said his kindergarten teacher, who has been teaching for over 20 years, has a naughty and nice list. He said 2 kids are on the naughty list. I initially thought that he must be misunderstanding or that it's a joke. I texted another mum with a kid in the class, and she said her child said the exact same thing tonight, named the same 2 naughty kids, and said her child is on a pending list because they didn't clean up like they were supposed to today. Said her child learned the word pending today because of this. I already messaged a few teacher friends, and they've all reiterated that this is not normal or acceptable. I would love some advice on how to approach the situation. I also don't personally ever do a naughty nice Santa is watching thing. I teach my kids to be good because it's the right thing, and you want to live somewhere where people do the right thing versus just doing the right thing because someone is watching. So it's also problematic to me in that aspect. I can imagine it would not be fun to parents that don't celebrate Christmas. Cross-posting in Mummit. Thanks in advance. In the comments, Environmental Air 678 says, perhaps volunteer to work with 20+ students, kindergarteners no less, and see what it takes to manage behavior. I get that your Google research about clip charts or whatever supported your bias and trumps professional knowledge gained by advanced degrees and on-the-job experience, but do you honestly think the misbehavior is happening in a vacuum? The kids in the class already know who the naughty kids are before they ever get put on a list. Stop being a busybody with, oh golly gee shucks, I didn't mean for it to get to the admin nonsense. You knew what would happen if you told the right person. So silly. OP says, I reached out to 7 friends that are educators, all different levels of experience and in different states. All said this is absolutely unacceptable. The school admin said it was absolutely unacceptable. I'm not going off Google, I'm deferring to the people I know in real life and trust who do have degrees in the field. Kai Emery says, I had terrible ADHD that hadn't been diagnosed when I was 7. No amount of public call-out was going to train a neurotransmitter issue out of me. But it did make me feel like shit. I think the expectations of kindergarten are too high these days too. A lot of adults in these threads have been down with bullying kids and equating bullying with discipline. I don't like that. You can discipline kids without humiliating them. Right? That one guy that keeps going off is like, what other option is there? There are plenty of options that don't include shaming and bullying, which any uneducated, on the topic, person here could quickly Google. When you remove the holiday affiliation, I don't think it's too different from class behavior clip charts or green-red behavior cards in front of the classroom. The teacher seems to be using it as a behavior management system. These exist without the words naughty and nice. Is your issue solely that this is affiliated with a holiday, or that 2 kids were labeled as naughty/needing to do better? Because there are many behavior management systems that display or call out students who aren't doing the nice or ideal behavior. If you don't want your child to be participating in holiday classroom activities, tell the teacher so she can make sure not to say things or do things that she shouldn't. She can find other words for naughty or nice. My former school used expected and unexpected behavior. Teachers at my current school, good and sad behavior. OP says, clip charts aren't allowed in their school because of the research around public shaming. Update. Thank you all for your input and advice. I appreciated hearing the different points of view, even the mean ones. Who knew that a naughty and nice list would be so controversial? I sent a short and sweet email to the teacher this morning. Hey, Miss Teacher, I hope your week is going well. My child came home yesterday and told me something that I found concerning. He said there's a classroom naughty and nice list and singled out 2 kids that are naughty and some that are pending. I'm assuming that this was something said in jest, but just wanted to check with you. Thanks. Well, my friend that works for the school must have brought it up to admin because about an hour later I got a call from the AP apologizing over it. She said she dealt with it swiftly, shut it down, and the lists will be no more. She said she's still trying to wrap her head around someone thinking that that was a good idea. She said she is still processing it, said that it was insensitive, and that kids shouldn't be worried for the next 11 days. I told her that she didn't need to apologize at all, and I just felt bad for the kids on the naughty list. Everything she said to me was really reassuring, and I appreciated how honest and blunt she was with me. The teacher did email back since, and said, "Hi, this was something that I've done for at least a decade. It helped deal with behaviors in the past. I will not be doing it any longer. Thank you for your concern." Her response makes me think she thinks I'm the one that told admin, but oh well, what can you do? Something that came up in a lot of the comments was equating this to the clip charts. As many other users pointed out, Googling these will bring up tons of articles on why these are problematic and shouldn't be used. The naughty nice lists have the added layer of directly labeling a child as naughty in front of their peers. Thanks again, everyone. Edit to add, when my kid came home today, he told me, "Santa took our list." Kinda makes it more weird in my opinion. He also questioned how Santa took the list because he said that it was displayed on their smartboard. We said he must have emailed himself a copy and then deleted it since it's private. I also asked if everybody made it on the nice list before Santa took it, and he said they did, and that he hopes no one moves lists now. In the comments, Lil Kilo says, "I don't understand how so many of you aren't able to understand that the child's behavior can still be addressed. It just doesn't have to come with the shaming them in front of their peers. Some of you belong on the naughty list." OP says, "Seriously, so many comments. OP's just mad that her kid's being held accountable. My kid was on the nice list, but in no way do I think he, or any of his classmates, shouldn't be corrected if misbehaving. I'm just not down with a teacher labeling a child naughty." I still remember being a tiny kid with autism and ADHD getting my clip moved from green to yellow every day in the first grade for talking to other kids during centers. I was 6. It did not change my behavior, it just made me feel bad that I couldn't control myself to do what my teachers wanted. I'm 28 now, and I still remember that feeling. Thank you for sticking up for the kids that weren't even yours. You may have helped those two more than you know. OP says, "My son tells me often about one of the naughty kids getting in trouble. Makes me sad for her to actually get the naughty label. There is no way it's effective in helping her control herself. As far as I know, the other naughty kid is usually well behaved. Sad for him too." Goodness, this just drudged up a long-buried memory from when I was in kindergarten like 25 years ago. Teacher always had one of those clip charts with green, yellow, and red zones. I was always in the green until my grandfather was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given days to live. The day after I overheard the news, I wasn't listening in class and got in trouble. Being sent to move my clip to the yellow zone was traumatizing emotionally for my little tot brain. Good for you and your friend for pushing back on this. Sometimes kiddos are going through tough things at home and don't need to also be worrying about whether they're on Santa's naughty list of all things. Effin Wright says, "I spent pretty much all of kindergarten and first and second grade with red cards because I had undiagnosed ADHD. Even after being diagnosed, I was still the bad kid with the red card for 3 years. So in 3rd grade, my teacher gave me talking sticks, 5 per day to ask questions, including whether I could go to the bathroom or get a drink. It did not go well. Things did not get better in 4th or 5th grade because of the reputation I had and teachers who believed children should be seen and not heard, which was still going strong in the early 2000s. In middle school, things got better. I got therapy, coping tools, and had separate spaces for testing to ensure that I was not a distraction and no one distracted me. Public shaming can do damage to a child's psyche, and it most definitely can do damage to how their teachers and educators perceive them. Naughty lists and colored cards need to be left in the past. The fastest way to get a child to behave badly is to tell them that they are bad. Absolutely effing terrible teaching, leading, and parenting. That one comment from the volunteer seriously made my blood boil. How dare they shame OP and criticize her for not listening to people educated in childhood development when the most widely accepted contemporary research on the area clearly suggests that OP was in the right. We have never been more aware of how deeply influential narratives in early childhood are. Do you want a kid to never respect rules or authority and spend their entire childhood making a circus of the classroom? Publicly shame them and brand them naughty. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.